Hi everyone, I'm Allie with the Potomac Bead Company, and I'm going to show you how to do some right angle weave cubes. I think they look really cute as earrings. You can also use those as beads if you want to string them on a basic strung bracelet or just to add some 3D dimension to them. Depending on what you use, if you use bicones, they're going to appear much more of a cube shape. With the round beads here that I use, the Czech glass, they just assume the position of just a little rounded ball. These also look great in pearls as well and offer a little bit of a different look to wedding jewelry. So for these beads, what I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using some Czech glass 3mm round bead or 4mm round beads. You can use different things for this. Like I said, you can use Swarovski crystals and bicones. You can use just seed beads. You can use 6/0 seed beads. It really is a right angle technique, which when you're using right angle, it's very easy to substitute other items for that when you're talking material wise. So I'm going to be using the 4mm Czech glass in a sapphire color. I'm using a size 10 English beading needle, and I'm using 0.006 wildfire beading thread. The first thing I've done is put a stop bead onto my beading thread. If you're unfamiliar how to do that, check out our other YouTube videos. Also, if you get a little lost during this video when we're making our cube, it's a little bit of a geometry problem. You do want to take a break from this, look back for some of our other projects on right angle weave for our YouTube videos, and maybe check them out first and then get a better idea as far as right angle weave before tackling a bigger project. So to start out, again, I have my stop bead on my thread, and I'm using about 24 inches of thread. Right angle weave is always going to start out with 4 beads. I put my 4 beads onto my needle, and I'm going to let them drop back next to my stop bead. So my 4 beads are on, I'm letting them drop back through my stop bead. I'm going to sew back through in a circular fashion with my needle starting towards my stop bead and going towards the end of my beads through 3 of those 4 beads that I just put on. I'm going to give a nice tight pull. What that's going to do is create a little round loop. I give again a nice tight pull, making sure that that loop is right next to the stop bead. Originally, this right angle unit or this raw unit starts out with 4 beads. From now on, I'm going to be adding 3 beads at a time to make my little loops. So I'm going to put 3 beads onto my needle. And to make my next loop, I'm going to drop those 3 beads down. I'm going to sew back through the bead that's already there and back through the next 2 beads. So I'm always sewing through 3 beads at a time. Pull nice and tight, and that's going to get my next raw unit completed. It's basically big figure 8s that we're creating. Again, 3 more beads are going to go on my needle, sewing back in a rounded fashion through the last bead that's on, pulling them tight, and sewing through the next 2 beads and coming out. And that gets me my 3rd right angle unit. I'm going to do this again and get a 4th unit. On this unit though, it's going to create my cube. So what I want to do is I want to look at it here as if it were forming a cube. Because I'm forming a cube, I've been adding 3 beads at a time. This one I'm actually only going to add 2, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up this bead here, and I'm going to pick up the first bead that I put on. So I have my 3 raw units. I'm adding another bead. I'm going to go down through the first bead that was in line. So my needle's coming out the last bead, going down through the first, after adding another bead. I'm going to add another one of my Czech glass beads, and I'm going to circle in around through that last bead that was on. When I give this a nice tight pull, what's going to happen is I'm going to make my little cube. So you can see the little cube effect there. And you can make this cube bigger, you can make it smaller, it's up to you. What really needs to happen now is you can see the cube's a little flimsy, If you really want them to be nice and tight and to hold their shapes, you're actually going to want to use fishing line or Supplemax. That's going to hold them nice and tight. It's really hard to show with that because it is a clear cording. So I'm showing with the Wildfire. After I'm coming out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinforce my sides here. So right now, all of my right angle units, as I spin them around, are connected except for my top and my bottom. To connect them, what I'm going to do is take my needle. I'm going to go around in a circle, starting with the bead closest to where I'm coming out of. And I'm sewing through those 4 beads on the point. I'm then going to turn halfway, and I'm going to sew through the next one in line, reinforcing this whole project. You can also check out our video on sea urchin earrings. That has right angle weave used with Rizzo beads. So I've tightened up that side, gone through a couple times, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip over to the other side, sewing along the base of the side of my cube here, going back towards the side of my stop bead, and I'm going to sew along the beads here right at the top. Again, just sewing in a line, spinning all right around here. And you'll notice as you do this, it really tightens up the project and makes it a lot less flimsy. Because of the angle of this, you will see some thread on your cube when you're working with it. So just keep that in mind when you're picking your thread color and what you want to work with, that you will see some of this design. Once I get back to my stop bead here, and I'm circling around, I'm going to take my stop bead off, and I'm just simply going to tie a knot. So I'm tying my thread that I've been using that's attached to the needle onto the end of the other thread that was near my stop bead. And just pulling nice and tight. That's going to create my little cube that I can then put on jewelry, put on a necklace as a slide, but it creates a nice little geometric shape and geometric effect. I'm going to take my thread burner then and just burn off my extra threads, and I have my little cube. I've stuck my little cubes on 2 earrings. I think they look nice like that. And these cubes are a lot stiffer than this one because, like I said, I did use the fishing line with these cubes. It's going to hold it in and bring it a little bit tighter than when you're just using the thread. So after you master it with a thread, because it is easier to do with that because you can see it, then go in and try it with the fishing line so you get a nice tighter pull and you get a nice tighter box. So that's using right angle weave and making a little bead box there with just 4mm Czech glass beads. Again, you can use crystals, you can use seed beads, you can use a bunch of different things to make this little bead. You can make a ton of them, string them on a bracelet. You can add numbers to this too. You can make them wider by using 8 beads at a time instead of 4. So you can play around with the design of them, make them rectangles, make them squares. But again, if you want a little bit of a challenge, you can check out the one using our Rizzo beads, and that is the sea urchin. Also, if you need help with the right angle weave, check out our other YouTube videos. Like us on Facebook, and hopefully you get to visit one of our locations. Thanks a lot for watching, and have a great rest of your day.